Oh, we are so back with Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers every week from now until the playoffs, the Super Bowl.
That's right.
Let's keep it going. Andrew Siciliano, DeMarco Farr, JB Long, here at our new home in Woodland Hills. This is a special 53-man roster edition of Between the Horns, but really it's a special happy birthday Andrew Siciliano edition.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome.
JB, I'm touched. I'm flattered. I'm moved that you actually remembered it was my birthday.
Not only remember, but like I
that.
tried to wear the exact same pants as you today.
Thank you. I think we're wearing the identical pants.
We look like a band, don't we?
Different sizes.
What's the name of the band?
We'll come up with one later.
Okay.
53. How about that? Yes. Or trade me.
Thankfully, I'm not 53. Yes.
There
that was the name of the show, the roster.
Yes.
See.
Is no show today.
Yeah.
This was all just staged to get you here. We can show you your new office inside.
Nice.
Fantastic.
And
Do I
wish
get a
you your
window?
Best year ahead.
No.
Okay.
In all seriousness, happy birthday.
Thank you,
Thank you for another
Appreciate you
great
both.
season of preseason football on the
Had a
air with
blast.
Andrew Whitworth and Mina Kimes, and even a little bit of MJD there.
How'd
mixed in
Maurice
at
do
the
up
end.
there?
I thought Maurice was great. I don't know if you noticed, because once the final preseason game is over, like it's over, let's move on. But Les Snead came in for the beginning of the third quarter, was going to stay maybe 2 segments, maybe 2 possessions.
Yeah.
But we got onto a roll. He was having fun, and then I had this idea because we thought we were going to have Sean McVay down on the sideline coming up next. Let's surprise Sean with Les in the booth and have Les ask Sean a question. He wouldn't know that was coming. But then Sean got delayed a couple of series, and it turns out Les spent the entire third quarter in the booth. And to answer your question, MJD only worked 3 quarters,
Look
and
at
he
him.
spent the third quarter eating those voodoo donuts and watching college football.
I think that means 75% compensation,
Yes.
too. We can talk to
How
his
does he
representative.
I'm just
get
saying.
away with this? It's awesome.
I'm just saying.
I couldn't get past the jean jacket anyway. Yeah, I couldn't get past that. Yeah. What was with the jean jacket? Come on.
Somebody tweeted, where did MJD go?
Yeah.
Did he go to the Gap?
Win in Texas,
See?
right?
Can shop off the rack. I love it. Let's do
Andrew,
it.
I know you've been here earlier this week. DeMarco,
Yes.
first time putting eyes?
First time here, yes. I'm stoked. This is awesome. You can get right here. I saw the weight room. I see the field, the offices. This is what it should be right here. Yes.
I need you two to put your creative genius behind a challenge. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be right now. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
What do you
but
got?
we need a name
For this
for
place.
this facility. Like, the Cowboys have the star.
Right.
Yeah.
And I imagine there's
The
going to be a
Horn?
sponsored name at some point, but in the meantime, let's see what we can. How about this? Try this on for size.
What? I miss AD? No.
The Kurt Warner Center in Woodland Hills.
Oh, I
The
see what you
Kurt
did there.
Warner Center.
See what you
Maybe.
did there.
There's also
Maybe.
like an Inglewoodland tie-in that kind of brings the whole
I
Rams
like it.
Kurt
ecosystem
Warner.
together.
I like
Those are both atrocious,
where your
but maybe
mind
the
is.
comment section
I like where your
can
mind
come
is.
up
I
with
like
something
that.
better. All right, should we get to business?
Let's get it.
Do it.
Since we're all here for Andrew's birthday, we might as well do a real show. Let's kick it off with Sean McVay's comments about the 53-man roster yesterday, but of course the lead story, the trade of team captain from last year and record-setting tackler in the middle of the defense, Ernest Jones, the Titans.
I have a ton of respect for Ernest, and I'm excited about what he'll do in Tennessee and what he's meant here. But this was a decision that we feel like is best for our football team with the guys that we have. I think Troy Reeder and Roseboom are excellent. I think Jake Hummel's got versatility, and I couldn't be more impressed with Omar Spates and his emergence as a young, undrafted rookie free agent making the team. Eli Neal's another guy, and we've got a bunch of different things that we can do personnel-wise with some of the guys that we have on the back end and on our front. And doesn't take anything away from Ernest, but every decision that we make, and I think you guys know me well enough now, is what we think is best for our football team, and this is in alignment with that.
All right, so the day after, you had a chance to sleep on it. Your reflections?
I'm a little bit better than I was yesterday. Yesterday, kind of hot. You get upset. But this is football. It happens. This ain't basketball. This ain't baseball where you just run the same team back 10 years in a row. Teams change, and there was a good chance he was going to be gone next year anyway in free agency. That's just the way it goes. But when you think about it, I agree with everything Sean said. It is best for the team. And here's what I don't know. Maybe you guys know. Who introduced trade first? Because once that comes up, there is no going back. Once you say you want to break up, there is no going back. So you're all in. You're trying to climb Mount Everest. When you start talking about me first, you put yourself in front of the football team, and that could fester if you get upset with it. So the best thing for everybody is to move on. Now, you have to worry about what comes behind him. He is a leader. I missed him. I'm going to miss him. Everybody's going to miss him. You cannot replace his leadership. But, like I said, this is professional football. Guys leave, and you have to move on. It is what it is.
The leadership thing for me is the biggest piece. To answer your question about who wanted what first, Sean made it clear on Monday, standing right over here, because remember, Ernest tweeted, "I didn't ask for a trade." I think that tweet got taken down, and Sean said, he's right. He didn't ask for a trade. But Les Snead made it clear back at the owners' meetings, the annual meeting in Orlando at the end of March, that they were going to go into the offseason and not offer Ernest his extension. So that kind of sends the message. And I think it's fair to say, and I don't think it's unfair to Ernest, obviously he's fighting through a knee, that those other guys won jobs. Now, can you argue or can you push back? Were they actually better, a lot better? Look, I'm not breaking down the film.
With him or without him?
No, were they better than what Ernest Jones did in the joint practices?
Yeah.
Okay, because Ernest Jones wasn't out there for the 3 preseason games. Clearly, nobody was from the first team. Those other guys were. Omar Speights won a job on this team. Nobody can argue that. Elias Neal probably should be on this team as well.
Everywhere.
Certainly practice squad. He should be on this field regardless, getting ready for week 1, whether it's part of the 53 or part of the eventual 17-man practice squad. Either way. And when you're heading into the final year of a contract and you're not going to re-sign the guy, if you think that you're going to get the Omar Speights that blew up a dude on the first kickoff in the first quarter of the second preseason game, who can run and hit and play special teams, then you're going to keep that guy. Now, could you have kept Ernest Jones for $3 million? I think that's the conversation you have to have. And I think the other conversation you have to have is you tell me, what do you think of tackling stats, generally speaking?
I think they're ultra important, especially for guys like him. I mean, he's a downhill backer. He's supposed to make every tackle on the field when they run the football, sometimes in pass. If he can't cover, go towards the quarterback. What do you have, 4.5 sacks?
Yes.
He became the Bobby Wagner, the new style of downhill guys. So he's special, and I don't think you're better without him yet, but you can be, and that's the thing. We all go through contract negotiations in this job. I think I'm worth this. They say no, either suck it up or move on. That's just the way it goes. So I respect both sides. If you think you're worth more than what they offered, stand on that. If you think you can move on without him, then stand on that. But like I said, I agree with Sean McVay. Moving on, not letting this fester, is best for the football team, period. You may not see that now, but later on, it will be proven true.
You mentioned a name along the way there that I think is important, Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
Bobby Wagner had one of his best seasons as a Ram. I think he was Pro Football Focus's highest graded off-ball linebacker. It wasn't his fault the Rams went 5-12 that year, but with great off-ball linebacker play, they still lost 12 games. And I think that was informative in terms of what was already happening in terms of thinking about that position and how to invest in it. If Matthew Stafford had had a career best season, was the number 1 graded player at his position that year, the Rams would have been much better than 5-12. Two polar opposite examples, but you see where I'm going with this, that it's just, Mama, don't let your son grow up to be an off-ball linebacker if he wants to play in the NFL.
And I'm not trying to suggest, by the way, that he had a bunch of empty calories and empty stats there. I'm not saying that at all. I think tackle stats and PFF and film analysis, it's gotten so much better over the years where it's not like it was 10, 12 years ago where everyone knew the official score in Seattle pumped up those tackling stats for the Seahawks. I mean, that's been well documented. It's not like that anymore. I was just curious, you, being the one football player here in these 3 chairs, did you see on film last year that Ernest Jones was playing at a very high level?
I think I told you this, looking up PFF. I was shocked at where he was rated. I thought he would be higher.
And where was he rated?
In the bottom 3rd.
Okay.
I could not believe it. But then they value the passing stats a little bit more for those guys. Picks, passes, defense. I mean, he's not that style anymore. And that's the thing. When we talked to him at training camp, the first thing I said was, man, are you down a few pounds? He said, yes, I dropped 15 pounds. I think he was trying to get into that, I want to be a Fred Warner cover type dude. No, you are a downhill, tackle to tackle,
thumper,
rattle teeth, go after the quarterback guy.
Can I ask you a question? Because you mentioned pass rush. His ability to play on both sides of the line of scrimmage, I think, was his superpower.
Yeah.
Am I reading too far into it to say if we can live without Ernest Jones giving us that, maybe it's a good sign to what we believe we've captured in our front this year? That we're saying, hey, BY and Verse and Fisk and down the line, we might be able to get more with 4 than we even realized going into this offseason.
Theoretically, and I don't think the name stuck, but I think it might. They call Byron Young and Jared Verse the Velociraptors because that's what they look like when they're standing up there going after you. So there's some pass rush there. You add in Braden Fisk. Here's a guy that's going to be a problem up the gut. But the first thing I thought, or the second thing I thought, was it's ultra important for those bigs, Bobby Brown, Corey Durden, the bigs up front, to be more of space eaters than tacklers. So I'm not looking for you to get a bunch of stats, a bunch of tackles. What I need you to do is hold up these guards so these guys behind can come clean up and make plays.
It is a bit of an era in this sense. Ernest Jones was the last player on this roster to play defensive snaps in the Super Bowl championship and not play for another team since.
Wow.
Right?
Crazy.
So there are other defensive players still on this Rams roster who are part of that game day roster.
Yeah, okay.
But to play defensive snaps and not go
end of an era, man,
to Jacksonville and back like a Darius Williams.
And that's what I think hurts Rams fans most. And that was all over my social media last night.
Oh, really? They were mad about what you got in return. I'm like, what'd you think was going to happen?
Hey, I mean, let's say this. You get what the market dictates.
Not just what the market dictates, but there's precedent for this, whether it's Jalen Ramsey or Robert Woods. Like, the Rams will not take premier market value to make sure that a player they like and respect has a chance to thrive in his next home. And I think this was another instance of that.
Absolutely. I get that as well. But there is, look, we all like Ernest. I mean, Super Bowl champion, leader, and that's what's going to be missed. Great in the community. Ernest Jones is a good dude. And it is hard to say goodbye, truly, especially considering, JB, what you just said about the Super Bowl. This league moves fast.
Yeah.
He wore the green dot in terms of pure logistics. Chris Shula's first season as a defensive coordinator. What do you think what challenges that present between now and kickoff in Detroit, finding a replacement for that role?
Well, that's the great question. Who is going to be your leader? Who's going to be the guy that steps up and rallies the troops, especially on that side of the football? And I have no problem saying it's Jared Verse. I know that seems weird because he is a rookie, but you've seen this guy. You've
emotionally,
heard this guy.
Not logistically, you're saying.
Not
right?
logistically,
Okay.
but just emotionally, like when you need somebody to pep some guys up or, hey, look, let's go out and hit them in the mouth. You know what they do.
Yeah.
Like what Aaron did in the Super Bowl when he gets everybody together and stares through your eyes and like, I need more out of you. I don't mind that being a rookie. Leaders are born. I think he might be that guy.
The green dot, though, I think, well, two things. My first thought was Cam Curl.
Me too.
Oh, yeah.
But
unless Quentin Lake is going to be out there more.
It depends if Quentin Lake's not coming off the field playing star, then you could hypothetically give it to him. It is notable as well that Quentin Lake was named, along with Kobe Turner, a defensive captain.
I don't think he's leaving the field this year.
Lake?
I don't think Quentin Lake is leaving the field. I think he's on it every snap as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, I think your every down safety is probably a long-term solution there, but we'll see soon
safety,
enough.
Yeah.
The other shockwave, and this was as much, I think, fantasy football related as actual football related, but you can help me tease that out. Kyren Williams announced as the punt returner. Why are you laughing?
It's something that the three of us kind of caught wind of a couple of weeks ago and haven't necessarily put that on the street. To hear it out loud yesterday and to see everyone's reaction, that's why I'm chuckling. Because, yes, from the fantasy perspective, Ernest Jones is very much a local story here with the Rams. Mm-hmm. He's a very good player, obviously. But when the Kyren Williams news hit yesterday, I know you were on Twitter. You saw the reaction.
I did.
Sorry for cutting you off.
No, that's very much where we're going. It's not the first time that he will have returned punts for the Los Angeles Rams, but in this context, after another year of a lower body injury, and now as the undisputed lead back, maybe not just of this organization, but one of the tops on the draft boards.
Yeah, he's got to stay together, stay healthy, but it's another touch for him. That's the way I looked at it. And they're going to be smart with him. Hey, look, I need you to fair catch this. Just make sure you field it. Give the ball to the official, and let's play offense depending on score and what happens in the football game. But it's another touch for him, and it also means, to me, in my opinion, that means Blake Corum is on the rise because he's going to get carries. So I'll give you an extra touch here to start the possession in Kyren, and then I'll give it to you again. And then Blake Corum is coming in, and Ronnie Rivers is going to get some too. So, yeah, it's just another touch for Kyren Williams, in my opinion.
I'm not going to lie, it's perplexing probably in the scheme that we're talking about, but the Rams have to get better in the kicking game, and if this is a lever they believe they can pull to make that happen, then I guess I don't really care if Christian McCaffrey or other backs, Jahmyr Gibbs around the league, are not in the same role.
He averaged 95 yards, 96 yards a game last year from scrimmage. I'm sorry, rushing. It is perplexing. I wonder how long it lasts, and I'm not suggesting, hey, he's going to get popped week 1 and, hey, you're out of there. But I wonder how long it lasts if, for example, he is the hot back, right? And he is churning out yards. And let's say we're in the third quarter, and he's got 12 carries for $115. He had busted a big one. And you're like, you know what? You're good. Let's send somebody else back there. Whether it's Tutu, whether it's Xavier Smith, if hypothetically he's back by the time this airs on the practice squad and he's a game day elevation, whomever, I think especially what Xavier Smith did in the preseason, he has earned that chance. He's not necessarily in the building week 1. We don't know that yet. I'm all for Kyren. I'm with you. If they're going to be a better team with him back there doing it, I just wonder, A, how long it lasts, and B, how long he can hold on.
We had the same discussion about Cooper Kupp, remember? When he was going to return.
There are a lot of fair catches back there, though.
One, all you got to do is field the punt to win the game. Who are you putting back there?
Well, that's
Probably
different.
Kupp. Right.
Wait, are we talking safe, or are we talking second quarter
Just
in a
safe.
7-3 game
No
when
return.
you would like a return?
Field it, you win, that's it.
I'd feel better with Kyren if I heard yesterday, hey, Kyren's on kickoff return.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're going to run outside zone. Not that they would put that in the street, but a lot of the special teams coaches are treating it like a scrimmage play. Right? That would be different. Agree?
Yeah. All right, let's buzz through some other roster stuff, including this morning's news that the Rams have apparently reportedly claimed veteran defensive lineman Neville Gallimore, former Dallas Cowboy, cut by Miami. One of the shocking releases there from the Dolphins. He's a vested veteran, so not subject to waivers. He gets to choose his next destination and add some defensive depth to the Rams front.
Have you seen his picture on Wikipedia? He's got a suit on. He looks dapper. I like those type of D-line.
I love that you go to Wikipedia for that.
I just love it. That's you right there.
He's a well-dressed guy.
But he's big. He pursues. He's a monster in the middle. Perfect.
Andrew, I know you tweeted about this. It was something that caught all of our attention, that in a sequence of drafts where the Rams take 14 and then 10 players, so 24 drafted players the last 2 cycles, there was still room for 5 undrafted college free agents on defense to make this 53.
Unbelievable. And when you consider they drafted 5 as well, first round, second round, third round, obviously, with Verse, with Fisk, with Kinchins. You throw in Brennan Jackson, and who am I missing? There's a 5th rookie.
I wasn't listening.
There.
Sorry.
Okay. There are 5 drafted rookies and 5 undrafted rookies.
On defense, you're saying?
On defense. 10 rookies. I mean, that is eye-opening. Now, how many dress?
That's today's NFL.
That's another issue.
Yeah.
So kudos to college scouts, the position coaches who, as you know, work frantically behind the scene in those post-draft hours to appeal to these players and their representatives.
Tyler Davis.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good cleanup.
Baller.
But then also like to hit on your picks.
Yeah.
In consecutive drafts, and on day 3, not to throw another team under the bus here, but I read that the Indianapolis Colts cut 3 day 3 picks from this year's class, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th.
The Commanders cleaned out all of last year's draft as well, different administration.
So from those 24 picks the last 2 years, to have 19 make this initial roster, 2 more on injured reserve, so still around and hopefully future Rams, and then others who could return on the practice squad as well. I mean, to turn this roster over, especially defensively, in the period of time that they did, incredibly impressive, organizational-wide.
Props to the evaluators, but also props to the coaches, getting these guys ready to go and ready to be effective pros immediately out of the gate.
What else? What else in terms of the 53 shaping up caught your attention?
Let's see. The tight ends, you're keeping all 3 tight ends. The receivers, I guess Jordan Whittington was kind of the surprise of camp. Anybody? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
You knew he was making the team, though.
Right, but I didn't think he'd be that good on offense. I knew he'd be effective, but not that good on offense. Offensive line, no surprises. Bo Lemmer, we knew he was going to be that backup spot. No big surprises outside of what we just talked about, no.
Logan Bruss was the one for me. I know the 3 of us have talked about it, but it's a good reminder that 22-year-olds are not necessarily ready-made NFL offensive linemen, especially those drafted outside the top 100. I don't care how much Big Ten football you play.
And asked immediately to make a position change and then go back. And then that way, listen, I actually kind of regret this. We had circled, Mina and MJD and I had circled Logan Bruss, even though he wasn't going to be playing in that third game in Houston, to give him his flowers, to tell that story about, hey, good for him, right? He's gone through a lot. The injury, the doubts, people thinking that this was a pick that simply already rip it up and throw it away.
And it wasn't like, hey, we don't have the numbers here, so you're making this team. It's like, no, we've invested heavily in the guard position and you had your best offseason to date.
Logan Bruss is not a guy that made the team simply because he was a third-round pick and they felt the need to save face and keep him around. He came back this camp, and he won that job, and good for him. That was the story we wanted to tell.
I also wanted to shout out the safeties because I kind of made a note of something. I kept a receipt from this offseason. That was Pro Football Focus ranking the Rams safety group 32 out of 32 going into training camp. And I understand partially why, because they rightly categorize Q as a slot corner and not part of that safety group. But they weren't immensely high on Curl, who's drawn rave reviews. I don't know. I just think it's one of the most exciting position groups on the roster all of a sudden because of the way guys played during the offseason program, because of the up-and-coming prospects. Like, I think it's gone from a perceived weakness to a strength.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it's going to be a fascinating storyline because of what Chris Shula wants to do with those safeties this year. Everyone wants to focus on the corners. He's going to use safeties in the slot, obviously the star position clearly here. But this is going to be the backbone of that back line.
Was it West Virginia that used to use that 3-3-5?
Sure.
It's a bunch of safeties.
We'll go West Virginia.
A bunch of small guys that would just run and attack the quarterback from all angles. I see that with this safety group, depending on who you play. It's just more speed on the field and guys that you can also load up in the box and stuff San Francisco if you have to, or at least try.
Yeah, if you came up a little short in depth in terms of the corner position, you're right, Andrew, that to have a Russ Yeast, a Quentin Lake, who can give you that position flexibility to get it done with the overarching term defensive back, then maybe that gives you time for Darius Williams to settle back in. Maybe Trey White gets right.
I can't wait
and you
to
have
see what
something there.
Like. Yeah, I can't wait to see what he looks like at full speed.
Yeah,
Which one?
I'm with
Trey
you.
White.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to see what he looks
Listen,
like.
fingers crossed because he's such a good dude and he's overcome so much. Really, really respect that guy. I think he could be the under-the-radar defensive signing of the offseason here. It's not getting enough attention nationally. Look, he's a guy coming off a major injury. Again, a major injury. So he's got to go out there and prove it. But, look, that could be a steal.
A reminder that this is not a finished product, that behind the scenes, the back of the roster churn is ongoing. Stay tuned to most of these channels for updates on the practice squad, which I think has a chance to be really impactful here in 2024, and then the more complete 53-man roster as we turn our attention to game week, the Detroit Lions.
I can't wait to go back there. You excited? It
Yeah,
was crazy. That was a heck of an atmosphere, and you got to go back there again. That's fun. Yeah.
I'm just reminded that it wasn't just Matthew Stafford who was booed, but also the head coach, Sean McVay.
Yes.
Who took notice of that.
But that's awesome.
It was great.
Everybody.
Yeah, it was
Come
great.
on.
That's the environment you want. Yeah.
It made my the hair on the back of my neck stand up then, and it was louder than New Orleans, which I thought would be the loudest football game I ever called in that NFC Championship game. So
keep that same energy.
I wasn't there for Detroit. It was louder than 2018 in New Orleans.
It was ridiculously loud. Yes, super loud.
Because they had the noisemakers in New Orleans, and I'm convinced they were pumping that back through the speakers.
First playoff game in Detroit in how long? And it was a night game.
A generation.
So they'd been out all day.
I get it.
It was loud. Yeah, they didn't feel a thing. They were feeling no pain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep me posted on names for Woodland Hills, will you?
Will do. Yes.
In the meantime, enjoy
how about
your
the
birthday.
horn? I mean, this is between
the horn?
Between the horns, right?
Placeholder. We'll see if we can come over the top of that.
I like it.
I like it, too.
You don't like it?
No. It's better than the Kurt Warner Center. No offense to your former.
And that's with a K, not a C. The former
Super
Seahawks
Bowl.
running back.
Why are they always attacking my dude? See, I got your back. I got your guy. Come on.
Good to see you, DeMarco. Happy birthday, Andrew.
Thank you.
We're back next week to preview Rams going to Detroit, Week 1 against the Lions. In the meantime, a couple of practice here to get ready for that game, and then a long holiday weekend. For Andrew Siciliano, DeMarco Farr, I'm JB Long.
How old are you? You don't want to say.
Andrew's Wikipedia page, next stop on the program. As always, this is Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealer.